to another edition of The Hunt. My name is George Parkhurst. I'm an executive recruiter with Advice Personnel. And Advice Personnel is a full-service staffing and recruiting agency based in the New York City area. Today, I'm going to talk about public and private accounting and giving a little information session on the difference between the two. And for those that are business majors that are still in college looking for their first fit, or experienced accounting professionals confused about what they might want to do next, I think this information is going to help separate what you want to do as well as what you can do. So to start, I want to clarify that when I say public versus private accounting, I don't mean public company versus private company, as in, a publicly traded company versus a company that's privately owned. I'm talking about the industry of public accounting versus the industry of private accounting. And I'm going to define both, talk a little bit about the experience you're going to get in both public and private, as well as lifestyle differences between the two, and skills that might be required for both of them to be able to get a position like that. And then I want to brainstorm a couple scenarios and thought processes that can help you decide, is public the move or is private the move? So to start with public accounting is external accounting. Companies come to public accounting firms for assistance in assessing and testing their financial reports and transactions. It's broken down typically into two groups. There are many other groups within public, but there's audit as well as tax. Audit's more on the evaluating financial statements, and tax is helping a company assess the tax liability and whether it's paid correctly. So with public accounting firms, the most known ones are the big four: KPMG, EY, Deloitte, and PwC. But there are thousands of other public accounting firms that work with individuals, small businesses, as well as publicly traded organizations, and really provide the same service that these big four firms do as well. So there are a lot of opportunities in public accounting outside of just big four accounting. And as I mentioned, it's external accounting, so it's a client-facing role. The responsibilities will include speaking with clients, interviewing clients to get either information from them or documentation from them. So it's a very client-facing role. Additionally, you're going to get very broad industry experience from public accounting. Many firms in public accounting may have a specialty, whether it be real estate, financial services, e-commerce, whatever it might be. But most firms have a wide variety of clients and industries that are going to give you great exposure from an industry and business model perspective, as well as a responsibility perspective. No matter what, when you're working in public accounting, you're going to be working on multiple clients. So you're going to have the opportunity to evaluate in different industries and how their business models affect the accounting, as well as company to company, how the operations within a company function versus another. In terms of responsibilities, you're going to get to see a variety of areas of the financial statements, as well as internal controls and processes. So you're going to get a wide variety of both industry experience as well as responsibility type experience. As it relates to the lifestyle for a public accountant. So public accounting can tend to be not as stable in terms of scheduling. When you have multiple clients with needs that come up, very tight deadlines, you're managing a lot of things, your schedule can be unpredictable. There's also travel involved in public accounting. Many times clients want you to come to their office to speak with them directly. So there can be flying, there can be driving places, and your schedule may not be as stable, especially during the busier times of the year in public accounting. As it relates to skill set for public accountants, number one, CPA. It's not required to get a job. If you don't have to have the CPA already to get a job in public accounting, but if you want to be promoted to a senior or manager level in public, you're probably required to have a CPA because you are signing off on financial statements and other documentation for companies to validate that their financial statements or whatever you're performing for them is accurate and complete. So CPA being one thing that you might need. Number two is intangibles, and that's really being adaptable. When you're dealing with multiple managers, multiple circumstances with client, lots of deadlines, you need to know how to be adaptable and how to manage your time wisely when you're working across different clients. And for that reason, I think it's, you get the positive aspect of the exposure, but it can be, overwhelming for those that may or may not be as organized or may want to focus on one thing. So that's public accounting. External accounting for a variety of companies, really analyzing and testing, right? Analyzing and testing are two big verbs for them. Now with private accounting is working directly with a company internally. You're working for one company, supporting them with, operational accounting, financial reporting, internal controls work. You're really getting to own and execute on the responsibilities of the job, which gives you maybe less of a broad experience, but more of a deeper experience, and getting to understand how one company functions and really seeing how things work outside of just accounting and how a business model functions. In terms of lifestyle, accounting is always going to be busy. There are busy times of the year with accounting, but with private accounting, there tends to be a more stable schedule, meaning that you only tend to have one or two direct reports, meaning that you'll be able to manage and predict your schedule a little bit better than in public accounting. And as I mentioned, you really get true ownership and be able to really own certain areas very well. In terms of marketability as it relates to private, I think with private, with a lot of the clients that we speak to, they like to see that private experience, like you've been able to do that and work for one company and help either scale that company or own those processes within that function in accounting. So compared to public, it's a little bit more deeper experience, but maybe a little less broad. And I guess as it relates to the two, public versus private, external accounting versus internal accounting, there are some things you want to think about that are going to be important in helping you make your decision. Number one is client facing, because it's an absolute necessity in public accounting. Do you like client facing? Do you value communication, working with a variety of different people? Dealing with the kind of stresses of working with multiple individuals. Do you like that aspect? Do you like the communication aspect along with the kind of the accounting role? If you do like that and you feel like you want to continue doing that, then being in a client-facing public accounting or consultancy position is probably going to be best for you. But if you don't, and there are many very talented accountants out there who don't like the aspect of client-facing and want to be more of a specialist, then private accounting may be a better option for them. I think a big part of deciding between public and private accounting is industry. And if you are deciding, do I like the industry I'm working in, or do I want to get involved in another industry? Now, if you want to get involved in, if you really love the industry that you're working in, and you want to be a specialist in that industry, getting more private experience is going to be great for you. You're going to get just a better feel and a more round picture of that industry. And it's going to make you marketable to other companies that operate in that industry. We work with technical accounting pronouncements that are very relevant to certain industries, and being able to get those skill sets in that technical accounting skill set is going to, within one company, is going to be very useful to you in working with another company. But the other, I guess, thought is, hey, maybe I don't like the industry that I'm working in. Maybe I either want to get a broader exposure and I want to see, what else is out there, or I have something very specific that I am thinking about, I want to be in, that I'm not in already. And I think from that perspective, public accounting can be very great. Number one, the demand for public accountants is very high. There's always a need, and it's not just the growth of businesses and the new startups that are coming in. And, it's also the compliance and accounting regulations that have come out that are putting a toll on companies and forcing them to bring in more auditors and more consultants to support those pronouncements. So the need has never been higher for public accountants. So what's big there is if you don't like the industry that you're in, there are plenty of CPA firms out there that are working in industries that you may like. So evaluating, number one, do I want to just get a broad exposure? Maybe I work at a smaller company where I'm getting, a smaller firm where I'm getting exposure to a variety of mid-sized businesses, or you have a very strong auditing skill set, which is going to be marketable for anybody in public accounting going to a public firm. If you have that skill set and you really want to get into a specific industry, you can start researching particular firms in industry niches that you find to be the most interesting and be able to get into that. So I think if you have a CPA and you are a auditor of 3+ years who happens to not be in the industry that they like, there are plenty of opportunities out there with boutique CPA firms and others that are going to give you an opportunity to leverage your audit experience and be able to get into that industry that you want. So if you like what you're doing and you really love the industry that you're in, then it's great for you to get more private experience and show companies that you've been there and done that with one company that has scaled. But if you don't like the industry that you're in, there are plenty of opportunities with other CPA firms that can help you get that industry experience. So just to kind of recap some of the things that that I talked about was defining public accounting. Number one, it's external accounting. It's client facing. You're going to get a broad exposure to a variety of different industries and responsibilities. Private accounting is internal accounting for one company, executing and owning on certain financial operations as it relates to paying bills, booking journal entries, preparing financial reports. And as it relates to lifestyle, you're getting one where you're getting the broad exposure, but the schedule stability may not be there. As well, and with private, if you're moving into private, you're going to get a little bit more stability from a scheduling perspective. So I would love to kind of open things up to other other people and see exactly what kind of questions we might have on this. And obviously I don't have to really answer every single question now. Feel free to reach out to me to get a understanding of kind of what you're going through and what avenue might be best for you. I've really split it into two categories here, public versus private, but I'll also say that, with more boutique firms, you're going to get opportunities to actually own things and maybe get some of those private responsibilities that you wouldn't get at a larger firm. So it really depends on the type of firm you're working for and your capacity in it to determine the type of broadness you're going to get. And I know the big thing here is that there's no right answer for, that goes across the board. There's nothing that's just absolute, public is the right choice, private is the right choice. There are people that lifestyle, compensation, exposure, those certain things maybe are number one on their list of things they need when they're getting into a new role in public or private accounting. So I can't really tell you exactly what's going to be right for you, but I can tell you that if you use some of this information and you think to yourself, this is something that I want to get better at, or this is something that I'm good at and want to continue doing, having a baseline of the difference between public and private accounting is going to do a lot for you as it relates to, what choice you make at the end of the day. So I'd love to open this up to questions, especially after this, after this little seminar, and just be able to pick people's brains on what exactly they like, what they don't like, and what kind of struggle they're going through. So again, I worked in public accounting to start. I worked in private accounting. I got a nice feel from both. And now that I recruit in public accounting, or I recruit public accountants and in private roles, I know for a fact that, hey, not everything, not public isn't right for everybody. Private is not right for everybody. So it's really going to be up to you. And I have a question here. If I start in private accounting, can I go into public accounting from there? I think you absolutely can go into public accounting from there. I think there's ways that you're going to need to be flexible. So you need to think about, number one, if I think that I want to be in public accounting, am I doing it for the right reasons? And if you're doing it for the right reasons, I can surmise that exposure and ability to get like really broad visibility and maybe build on some of those intangibles, I can surmise that maybe those are reasons why you want to get in. You've got to compromise in certain ways. Starting out in public accounting, it may not get you that competitive base salary that you're looking for. So there's a lot of things you need to think about when you decide, yes, public is for me. I think one thing you can do that will help you greatly is ensure that you get 150 credits. There's community colleges, there's ways that you can get 150 credits so you'd be able to sit for the CPA exam. And to be able to pass the 4 pieces of the CPA exam will go a long way in being able to move from private to public accounting. So there are absolutely ways to do it. I also think that if you've worked in private accounting and you do like the industry you're working in, to move into a public firm at more of a staff level in that particular industry, you're going to be more marketable because you've seen that type of business before. So there are ways to do it. I think number one, you have to come to grips with, yes, this is going to be for me. And number two, what sacrifices am I going to make to be able to get there? I've seen it done before, certainly, but I've seen it mostly done by those that are on that CPA track, interested in getting that CPA, and are willing to get it to, have a flexible work environment where they might be taking calls at late hours or traveling. So all those things need to be figured out before you decide, can I do this? So anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions over LinkedIn. You know where to find me, but my email address is gparkhurst@adviceny.com. And it was a pleasure sharing some of this information today. And I look forward to, partnering with some of you who are listening and getting a sense of your story and what works best for you. So thanks again. This was another episode of The Hunt. Next week, we'll be back with, our leader, Kevin Roth, to talk about, I'm not sure, but we'll find out, I guess. Thanks so much and have a great day.